All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard here. January 2025. The wind is howling outside. It's playoff football weather. It's postseason time for Super Bowl champion Benny Fowler, former NFL wide receiver, is here with me to break down wild card weekend and preview the NFL playoffs here at the culmination of the 2024 NFL season. This is brought to you here on the Believe Network and on the Talking Ball with Pat Leonard podcast. And on the YouTube channel, PL on NFL, subscribe today by my bookie, which is rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors this football season, including during the playoffs. All of my picks against the spread this year come in just under 55% on our win, on our hit rate. That is making you money this season. Want to sign up now? Click on the link in all my social media profiles and use my promo code PATSPICKS. That's PATSPICKS. And get a 50% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. Let's win together with my bookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally feel a post-workout like energy boost when I take Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today, place your first order, use the discount code TalkingBall25 or access it through that QR code right there on your screen, and you'll get 25% off your first order on the subscribe and save option right now. That means a month's supply, a full month's supply, costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. And brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee concentrate perfect for when you want to make a quick cup of coffee and skip the lines. It takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate 98 iced or hot coffee. It's great as a mixer for espresso martinis, and each bottle makes up to 16 cups. Go to estate98.com/talkingball to get an exclusive offer for 80% off your first order. And now on to my conversation and playoff preview with Benny Fowler. All right, welcome to another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. The playoffs are here. It's postseason time. At the end of the 2024 season, we now get ready to watch these teams battle it out to crown our next Super Bowl champion. Our Super Bowl champion is back. Benny Fowler, former NFL wide receiver. Beans, at this time of year, having won a Lombardi trophy yourself, do you just start buzzing a little bit? Like, does it just feel a little bit different when January hits?
When January hits, I mean, it brings back great memories, number one, but then number two, it also is a little bit sad because, there's not going to be, in a couple of weeks that football won't be on Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's a little bittersweet. It brings back great memories of my playing days and the great teams that I was on, but also it's sad now as a fan that, the football season's is ending. So it's bittersweet.
No, great point. Great point. We all almost start taking for granted how much ball is on. And then in addition, with the college football playoff, we'd have extra college going on as the NFL playoffs get rolling. So it's all going to come to a crashing halt soon. And all of us are going to be yearning for those training camps to open up in the summer. But we are here previewing wild card weekend as the NFL playoffs get ready to kick off. And I'm going to start right away with the first game on the slate, Benny, here on this football Saturday. And that is the Los Angeles Chargers, the 5 seed in the AFC at 11-6, at the Houston Texans, 10-7. The Chargers seeking their first playoff win, believe it or not, since 2018, while CJ Stroud in his second year looks to lead the AFC South champions into the second round for a second straight season. Who do you like in this game, and how do you break down this matchup between Harbaugh's Chargers and DeMeco Ryans Texans?
This is a tough matchup to break down just based off of the fact that early on in the season, I would have gone with Houston right away just because Jim Harbaugh was just first now getting there to Los Angeles. But this isn't his first time coaching in the NFL, and he knows exactly what he's doing. The Chargers are peaking at the right time. They're playing really well. He's got Justin Herbert playing some really good football and not turning the ball over. Defense is staying stout. So it's going to be interesting. I think if I had to pick a team in this game, I would actually pick the Chargers just based off of the fact that Jim Harbaugh and the way that they're playing and in the way that they're healthier than the Texans. Texans missing Diggs. Tank Dell is now out. All you have is Nico Collins. It's tough. You got Joe Mixon. The offensive line has been beat up all year. It's been tough for CJ Stroud to be comfortable in the pocket. So I'd actually have to lean towards the Chargers. Chargers are going to run the ball. They're going to play sound offensive football, sound defensive football, and be sound on special teams. So I'm actually leaning towards the Chargers. I like CJ Stroud a lot. I think he is an incredible quarterback. I think, he took a little bit of I don't know if you want to say a step back, but it was definitely a tougher year this year in terms of who he was as a quarterback. I thought that was going to happen with the addition of Stephon Diggs. It just gets harder to do that. Should have put some resources in the line up front. So I'm picking the Chargers. How about you, Pat?
I am too. Benny, this is actually one of those games that I went so quickly to one team. I thought, am I rushing past something and am I missing something? Because almost all the arrows here point to the Chargers. And remember, I'm the guy who picked the Texans to win the Super Bowl at the start of the season. So, I want Houston to deliver on my prediction, but it's not going to happen. I like the Chargers to win. I like them to cover. I like them for a lot of reasons. Number one, Harbaugh versus Ryans. Harbaugh's been in this spot before. He's a great head coach in general. Just won a championship last year in college. His team, I think, overall,
we don't need to talk about that college championship.
That's right. Good point. But also, and I don't say this to mean the Texans players are tough players, but the Chargers, I think, are tougher on the line of scrimmage. You look at, like you said, Houston did not quite invest enough in their offensive line. Chargers did not have that problem. They go Joe Alt in the first round as a good example of that when there's other top weapons on the board. Their identity is defined. I think the one thing that interests me in this game where it could flip either way is Justin Herbert has only thrown 3 interceptions all season. Remarkable statistic, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Houston's defense does take the ball away. Derek Stingley and Kalen Bullock, the rookie safety, each have 5 interceptions this season. So I think all the arrows point to the Chargers. They even have 3 straight wins to end the year. And even at 11-6, 2 of those 6 losses are to the Kansas City Chiefs, the best team in football. Meanwhile, you have the Texans coming in. Yeah, they beat the Titans in the last game, but before that 31-2 loss to the Baltimore Ravens in week 17 told me the next time this team plays a meaningful game, it's out. But I do think Houston has a chance if they can flip that Justin Herbert taking care of the ball script on its head. But I do like the Chargers. I agree with you. I think they're a team built for the postseason. I should mention also the Chargers only allowing 17.7 points per game. That is tops in the NFL. So the Texans
top
always
defense, with a great offense and not turning the ball over. That's a recipe for success, a recipe for winning, and a recipe really for winning in the postseason. By no means do I think it's going to be a blowout. Houston could definitely win this game, especially if they get off to a fast start. Bobby Slowick, I think, will come up with some ideas and some tricks and different misdirections to try to get some points on the board and score fast.
Yeah. You said something right up front too about how, Stroud's had a down year compared to his rookie year. But to your point, now he hasn't been the type of player all around that Jayden Daniels was this year for Washington, but you could make an argument that Stroud could come into this game and suddenly just assert himself as the best player on either team and win the game, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It does feel he is the kind of guy who could do that. So the Texans, obviously, this is always funny. They always seem to end up in this slot to start wild card weekend, the early Saturday game, don't they? The AFC champion. So that'll be Saturday first game. That's Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn on that call. That'll be backed up, Benny, though, by a division rivalry matchup. Third time these teams are facing each other this season. The 6th seed Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-7 at the 3 seed Baltimore Ravens. They are 12-5 on the year. They split this season, 1-1. Each team won at home. The Steelers are seeking their first playoff win since 2016. That is not a typo. The Ravens won the AFC North for a second straight year, leading the NFL in total offense and ranking 3rd in scoring. And John Harbaugh has 12 playoff wins. He can tie Mike Holmgren for 7th most ever by a head coach with a victory here. Who do you like, Beans?
I like the Ravens in this one. They got the best player, I think, who had the best season this year from the quarterback perspective, which is Lamar Jackson. 40 touchdowns. What do you have? 4 interceptions this year. Just incredible in terms of the way he played, the momentum that they have, having Derrick Henry this year, Lamar just being really dynamic from the pocket. Also, defense was their weak part early on in the season. Defense has gotten a lot better. They're playing really well, and they're playing well at the right time. I am worried about Zay Flowers not being in the lineup. That is one of their dynamic playmakers and somebody who is just it's hard to match up with a guy who has quick twitch, who can catch the ball, who can catch and run, who can just be so dynamic. But when you have a Lamar Jackson and a Derrick Henry, and you have that dynamic duo along with what they're doing up front, I think the lanes will be open for the other receivers. They won't be as dynamic in the passing game without Zay Flowers, but they'll still be incredible. So I like the Ravens in this one, but this is going to be a tough, gritty game. I know Lamar has been playing super well, but who knows how to play him any better than the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. They have a tremendous amount of respect, but they have a defense that's stout up front, and they have a defense that plays him and has played him a couple times every single year. So I think this is going to be a ugly AFC North type game. I think that's what type of game it is going to be. It's not going to be high scoring. Russell Wilson in the Pittsburgh offense has been struggling. George Pickens has been inconsistent the last couple of weeks since he's coming off the hamstring. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think it's going to be hard hitting. I think it's going to be a great playoff game. It's going to be ugly. It might not be what the fans want to see in terms of high scoring, but it's something that I would want to see. Hopefully it's a slugfest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I go back and forth on this. When I initially looked at the matchup, even though the Steelers won the first matchup and the second one was close until I believe Russell fumbled in the red zone, kind of scrambling, trying to go in. There was a part of me that looked at this and said, even without Zay Flowers, this won't be that difficult for the Ravens. Because their defense has gotten better and you have that Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry 1-2 punch. But without Flowers, and considering Tomlin is a guy who, he knows how to keep these games close, even though they haven't gotten those playoff victories, I think without Flowers on the field, Benny, like as I think about it more, I think Pittsburgh completely loads the box and takes its chances as much as their secondary has not been strong at all. I think they take their chances with Lamar getting the ball out quickly enough to Bateman and his tight ends down the field, and we see how it goes. I agree with you that it could very much be a low-scoring slugfest. I do think the Ravens win this game, and frankly, I mean, you and I both know, like Lamar, I don't know if he's going to win MVP. I think he should. I think you believe he should too. But you could end up having a 3-time MVP where if he loses this game, from a legacy standpoint, and Josh Allen's in this vein too, but if you're Lamar Jackson, this is just a game where you just got to win it, make it look not easy, but this can't be a game where you look normal and you look human again, because I think at this point, as great as he is as a player, he's got to start doing it when the lights are brightest in the postseason. I don't really think that's an unfair thing to say, but without Flowers, that could be tougher to do. So I'm looking at the tight ends. Mark Andrews, he can become the 4th tight end ever with touchdown catches in 7 straight games if he catches a TD. And something to look for, you bettors out there, Isaiah Likely, the Ravens tight end, has a receiving touchdown in each of his 3 career home games against the Steelers. But yeah, Benny, I don't know. I would say a day ago, I thought the Ravens were going to cover this. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's going to be tight.
Yeah, I think so. It's a division game, and it's the 3rd time you're seeing this team, and you just saw them a couple weeks ago. So
yeah,
it's gonna be physical, and it's gonna be a little chippy.
And one more thing to mention, I should mention this. In a tight game, Justin Tucker, of course, one of the greatest field goal kickers of all time, well-documented, strangely difficult season, 22 of 30 on field goals this year. So whether he makes big kicks like he has in the past many times, or whether his struggles continue in a tight AFC North playoff game, undoubtedly that is going to be a factor one way and a major storyline one way or another. But I know Benny's been itching to talk about this one when we go into Sunday's games, the early slate. We have the 7 seed AFC Denver Broncos at 10-7 at the 2nd seed Buffalo Bills at 13-4. And Benny, the Broncos clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2015 when the team won Super Bowl 50 with Benny Fowler on the squad. Sean Payton can become the 19th head coach all time with 10-plus playoff wins. And the Broncos only allow 18.3 points per game. However, Josh Allen is Josh Allen. The Bills have beaten both of the teams with byes this weekend, the Lions and the Chiefs, and 8-0 at home for the 3rd time ever. Benny, how do you think this stacks up? And how do you feel your Broncos are going to fare in Buffalo?
Well, shout out to the Broncos. This is my upset alert of the weekend, of Wild Card weekend. Broncos going on the road to get it done.
Oh, man.
To beat Buffalo at home. And the reason why I say this number one is because, this is the team that, I played for, and then that, they're getting back into the playoffs since the first time since the Super Bowl team that I played on. Number one, I also think they have the better head coach. I think that Sean Payton is a better head coach than Sean McDermott. They went on the road last year and beat Buffalo at Buffalo in a gritty game, in a cold game. I think Sean is going to try to keep and limit Josh Allen from being on the field. How do you limit his possessions? And I think Sean is going to play some strategic football, go on the road and get the upset with Bo Nix and that incredible team and that incredible defense. So look for Bo Nix to use his legs a lot. I think Cortland Sutton has an opportunity to make big plays. Marvin Mims has been coming on as late in terms of what he's doing in special teams, but then also a little bit of running back, a little bit of, receiver. He's doing some things. And then you have the pass rush. Denver Broncos. This Denver Broncos defense has the most sacks in franchise history, and that includes the number one defense, top 3 defense of all time in the NFL. That was the Super Bowl team. So it's going to be incredible to see. It's going to be fun to see. But that's my upset of the week, just based off of the coaching pedigree of Sean going on the road, and Sean's going to have these guys believing that they can go in there and get a win.
I love it. Upset alert. You heard it here first. Benny Fowler predicting the Broncos to go into Buffalo and beat Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, and the Buffalo Bills. Benny, I got to tell you, if that happens, the Bills might have a new head coach next year. I'll tell you that right now. Not just a coaching mismatch with Sean Payton, Sean McDermott. They might need a new head coach if that happens.
Yeah.
One question I had for you about this game too, and I loved your breakdown of that. I was actually starting to do some voting for the 2024 NFL season. And one of the questions I was asked in one of the votings I'm doing is the top AFC defensive player of the year. And I was looking at some of the Broncos standouts, particularly Pat Surtain. And I mean, I know Nick Bonito, like his total tackles are down. It's just, it just feels like this Broncos defense has been so dominant and difference making. And the stats just jump out at you. Like Bonito, 3rd in the NFL with 13.5 sacks, 5th defensive Denver player since 1982 with 13.5 sacks or more in a season. Had 2 touchdowns, I believe, this year, 1 fumble return, 1 interception return. Even Jonathan Cooper was a stud, had 10.5 sacks. And then Surtain, 11 passes defended, 4 interceptions, and is one of only 2 in the NFL, including Denzel Ward, with 10 plus passes defended in each of the last 4 years. Do you think it's right of me to consider a guy like Surtain or Bonito in that category?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're top 5 in sacks in the NFL, you're definitely a game wrecker. You're definitely a game changer. And Pat Surtain should win Defensive Player of the Year at corner. We haven't seen that since Stephon Gilmore. He's always lining up with the best receiver, and he's always clamping the best receiver on the other team. And when you can play defense like that, tremendous amount of respect. And yeah, he's anchoring our defense on the back end. You can basically just man up and play whatever coverage, or play man to man, I should say, when you have a guy like Pat Surtain out there. So look for him to get Defensive Player of the Year. And that's also one of the reasons why I also believe that they can go in there and get a win. Is I don't necessarily know who is the number one target for Josh Allen, but you completely eliminate that guy because Pat Surtain is going to be on him. So yeah, it's incredible to see the Denver Broncos defense stepping up.
Love it. James Cook tied for the NFL lead with 16 rushing touchdowns this season. They'll try to do that damage. But Benny, one thing I have learned watching Josh Allen, he dominates a lot of teams. When I have seen him slow down, and I remember when Wink Martindale was the defensive coordinator here with the Giants, they almost beat the Bills in Buffalo. Part of the game plan was, and it's something similar to what teams do to Jalen Hurts, is they blitz from the quarterback's right strong side, and they try to force him to move and scramble if he's going to his left, so that he's not rolling to his throwing arm, and that it typically with an Allen or a Hurts, it's not going to stop them, but it's going to force them into more difficult positions, difficult throws, difficult situations. So I would look for that from Denver to try to push Josh Allen to his weak left side. So check that out. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson on that call, Broncos-Bills. And then after that, another one of the games of the weekend, we have the NFC 7 seed Green Bay Packers, 11-6 at the 2 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles at 14-3. This is a rematch, of course, of the NFL season opener overall, a 34-29 win for the Eagles in Sao Paulo when Saquon Barkley debuted with 109 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Benny, this seems like a tough matchup for the Eagles to draw right out of the gate. Not that there's any bad teams, but what do you think? Packers are a little banged up, but they obviously played the Eagles very closely right out of the gate in week 1.
Yeah, Packers being banged up is tough, but the Eagles are also banged up. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play, so I'm looking for a heavy dose of Saquon, and I think him getting back into the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years, I think he comes out and he has an incredible game. I think he has a big game on the ground. They know they're going to have to lean on the run game if Jalen Hurts isn't playing, and I expect him to do damage in the run game. I expect a 150-plus yard from scrimmage type of day from him. And if they are getting a heavy box, then A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to do damage on the outside. And Kenny Pickett, he got a couple wins this year. So I think it's definitely a tough draw because Jordan Love is such a wild card. He has incredible amount of talent, but you just never know what you're going to get from him. And he could come out and light things on fire from the get-go. And then the Eagles could be playing catch up just based off of that. If Matt LaFleur dials up the right plays and Jordan Love is hitting these plays, it could be 14-0 before you know it, just based off of how Green Bay could come out. But I do think the Eagles are going to win. I would put my money there and just what they're doing. And then you got Vic Fangio. I think that's the difference maker for the Eagles in the playoffs, playing better defense, way better defense than they did last year, and then adding Saquon. So the addition of Vic Fangio on the defensive side, the addition of Saquon on the offensive side makes for Eagles win, I believe, this weekend.
I love your breakdown there of Saquon Barkley gearing up for his first playoff game in a few years. And obviously he has not been able to get onto this stage as often in his career as he would like. So he will be itching, ready to go, and they will feed him. Totally agree with that. Eagles won 14 games and the NFC East for the second time in 3 years, while the Packers qualified for the playoffs for the 5th time in the last 6 years. And in 2023, they became the first ever number 7 seed to win a playoff game. Matt LaFleur with an incredible record as a head coach in the regular season, 67-33 as a Packers head coach. That's a 670 win percentage. Only 3-4 though in the playoffs. As we noted, both teams banged up. Jalen Hurts, as we speak, is returning to practice today. So signs pointing to him having a chance and likely being in the lineup, though that's not official, but he is returning to practice today. So that's good news for the Eagles. And I would look at, if the Packers are going to lean on a weapon, of course, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, those are guys. Watson's banged up, but Jayden Reed out of the slot. He's
Michigan State, go green, let's go.
A Spartan. I threw that out there right for you. He's more than a gadget guy, right? Like the Giants have a Wan'Dale Robinson type who's more of like a specialist. Jayden Reed is a good receiver who is also lightning fast, and you can use him a lot of different ways. Jet sweeps out of the slot, running routes, going down the field. Excellent player. 55 catches for 857 yards and a career high 1,020 scrimmage yards. I didn't know that in 2024. He is the only player with 50 catches, 700 yards receiving, and 100 rush yards in each of the last 2 seasons in the entire NFL. This game will be on Fox. It'll be Kevin Burkhardt, Tom the Goat Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi on that call. Now, one of the games I think I personally am most excited to watch. not only covering the Giants, who are in the quarterback market and in the NFC East, but also just because this guy has quickly become one of the more exciting players in football, and that is Jayden Daniels, the quarterback for the Washington Commanders. So the number 6 seed in the NFC, the Washington Commanders at 12-5 with 5 straight wins, Benny, to close out the year, going down to Tampa in Florida to face the Buccaneers, who are 10-8, winners of 6 of their final 7 games in the regular season. And the Bucs beat Washington in Daniels' first game in week 1, 37-20 in the opener. Who do you like in this one?
Give me the young buck. Give me the young buck, Jayden Daniels, to go on the road and get a playoff win. I think he's just been playing incredible. He's obviously, I think, the rookie of the year in terms of the way he played. Like you said, five wins to finish out the regular season. I have a list of receivers that I'm excited to watch this weekend, and they have one of the best receivers, I believe, in the league, one of the most underrated receivers in Terry McLaurin, who can do damage. I also think they have a tremendous amount of experience when you have a Bobby Wagner and a Zach Ertz, people who have won Super Bowls and been in the playoffs and deep into the playoffs, that know how to play in these types of environments. Look out for those guys to bring a positive impact in the game, but not only that, but also in the locker room. I think there is no substitute for experience. My experience in the NFL, when you have guys who have been in playoff situations and atmospheres before, that carries over into the locker room to the younger guys. Jayden Daniels also being and playing in the SEC and playing in high pressure moments. I don't look for him to do anything out of the ordinary that he wouldn't do in terms of this moment is too big for him. I don't see him playing like that. I see him playing calm, poised, cool, and doing, what he's been doing all year, which has been, playing within himself, making top throws, being able to run, extend the play, making plays on third down, going for it on fourth down, and then bringing that little swag that he brings to, his touchdowns, dances, and celebrations. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I think they go on the road and get it done.
Yeah, I agree. Like the Chargers-Texans game, Benny, this is one where I went so quickly to the Commanders as a team I thought was going to win. I had to stop myself for a second and say, listen, you got to give the Bucs more of a chance here in your breakdown before you actually make your pick. Washington is beatable. I mean, we've seen when they run into good teams, they look different than when they've been beating up on the teams that they used to be a part of. But, when they're playing even getting it done against a Falcons team who ended up being close. But, when it's a team on the other side who has flaws, they will take advantage. But when they play the good clubs, it's neck and neck, it's toe to toe. But similar to when an NBA team just has one of the best 10 players on the floor, I think that's what this is with Jayden Daniels in Washington. Malik Neighbors here with the Giants has been saying all year that this guy's one of one. And I know that's a cliche and everybody says that about their buddy that they play with in college. But I remember when the NFL Network people came into the Giants locker room one day, they hand out those papers, Benny, where players vote for the top 20 guys in the league. And then that's part of how they do the top 100 list that NFL Network does in the spring. And there were guys on the Giants team who were putting Jayden Daniels in there. And not just because it wasn't just like Malik Neighbors because he knows them.
Yeah.
It was guys on their defense who said, this guy's feet are quiet in the pocket. He's got crazy poise. He can do it all, right? If you defend the pass, he's taking off. If you try to stop him from running, he's going to throw it over your head. He's just very well respected already, even though he's a rookie number 2 overall pick out of LSU. So the Commanders made the playoffs for the first time since 2020, and they won 12 games for the first time since, ready for this, 1991. Wow. While the Buccaneers won the NFC South for the 4th consecutive year. I was not aware of that stat. And I do think, Benny, 2 things I'd say about the Bucs. Vita Vea on their defensive line has had a really quiet, amazing year.
He's an animal.
He is just, he's always been a good player or a great player in spots. But this year he put it all together. He's not Chris Jones, but the way that when you play the Chiefs, it's if we don't take care of Chris Jones, we're going to have problems all day. That's kind of what Vea is for the Bucs right now. It's just if we can't block this guy, it's going to ruin, at least 2 to 3 snaps for our offense every quarter. So that's one thing I'm looking for. And then I watched Washington play twice in person, and even though they've had an exciting season, if Baker Mayfield can just get the ball into the air to Mike Evans in this game, like they should be able to do damage down the field against Washington secondary. But I agree. I think Washington gets it done. So that's on NBC. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark on the call. And remind me, Benny, after we get through this last game, I want to talk a couple different positions, but I heard you say you have a list of wide receivers you're excited to see. So I want to get into that right after we get to this next game. Reminder, everybody, we're sponsored by MyBookie, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, and Estate 98 Coffee. MyBookie.ag. Go to the link, use the Pat's Picks promo code, get a 50% match all the way up to $1,000. BoomChaga.com for the Mushroom Super Drink. Go there, use the Talking Ball 25 code or use the QR code on your screen right now. Get 25% off the subscribe and save option. And Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee. Go to estate98.com/talking ball and get 80% off your first order. That's an exclusive discount now on Estate 98 Coffee. Benny, we round out Wild Card Weekend with some Monday night action. The Minnesota Vikings, who drop all the way to the 5 seed at 14-3 against the 4 seed and NFC West champion Los Angeles Rams at 10-7. The Vikings won 9 in a row before getting blasted by the Lions for the division title and that number 1 seed in week 18, while the Rams won 5 straight before sitting Matt Stafford and some of their other top players in week 18. Who do you like in this game at SoFi Stadium? Do you like the Vikings to return to that impressive Coach of the Year Kevin O'Connell level? Or do you think that the Rams get it done and the Vikings, after such an impressive and unexpected year, bow out quietly?
This is a hard one to pick because I like both coaches. Both run similar offenses. Kevin O'Connell was in Los Angeles a couple of years ago before he took the head coaching job. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think the Vikings are pissed off, and I think, they got embarrassed on national television last week, and now they're definitely going to try to rebound. Obviously, going into the playoffs, it's one and done. But I see Kevin O'Connell calling a complete game. I see Sam Darnold picking up where he left off in terms of what he did, everything up until that Lions game. So I think he was questioning himself a little bit in terms of what he was seeing. And
interesting.
They're going to have answers to those things that Detroit tried to do, because I think the Rams could run a similar game plan defensively because it worked so well against the Minnesota Vikings the previous week. So, but I think Sam comes out and plays well. I think, it's an interesting, or not interesting, but it's an exciting time to see Justin Jefferson on the stage, Jalen Naylor, TJ Hawkinson, and Addison really put it all together along with Aaron Jones. So I'm going to pick the Vikings, but I'm going to pick the Vikings in a close one. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean McVay, and you got Stafford on the other end, who is as dangerous as a quarterback and has one of the best arms in the league and just knows how to play ball really well. I can see Puka Nacua having a big game, as well as Cooper Kupp. And when you just have that veteran presence like a Stafford and a gunslinger like Stafford on the other side, it's hard to go against and pick against that guy. But I'll go with Minnesota. They've had a great year all year, and they have, I believe, more weapons on their offensive side of the ball. So I'm picking Minnesota.
Wait, earlier, did you say you thought Darnold was questioning what he was seeing in that Lions game, or O'Connell as the play caller?
A little bit of both. I think Sam definitely was second guessing himself and wasn't anticipating as much. I know they were doing a lot of double teaming on the receivers on the outside. But yeah, I think there were some opportunities for him. And then, you have 6 opportunities in the red zone in the first half, and you only come away with 6 points. Yeah. That's where I question Kevin O'Connell. Don't get stuck into what Dan Campbell does and going for it. You guys went for it on 4th down twice throughout the season, or whatever the stats were. That's not your game plan. Take the points, make it closer. Because Jared Goff was playing a little shaky at the beginning of that game. And I think Kevin O'Connell just kind of got in his own head and started questioning himself, as if Detroit was just going to light up the scoreboard. Now, they did towards the end because Minnesota gave opportunities away, but I thought it was going to be a closer game than what it was. So, Kevin O'Connell, don't question yourself going into this game.
Yeah, I think, ever since the Vikings lost Darisaw, what I've noticed on offense is that when they face a team with an average pass rush or below, I think everything operates smoothly. Darnold gets the ball out when he's supposed to. He's in rhythm. When you see them play a team with a really good or even above average pass rush, it looks to me like he sees it coming before the snap, like he's rushing his decisions, and it results in him maybe looking the wrong way, or once the first guy's not open, he's pumping, his eyes come down. And that happens with a lot of quarterbacks, but I think that O'Connell has to figure out a way to address that, and I'm not talking about getting the blocks set up too. Like I'm talking about whatever the scheme is that makes Darnold comfortable and doesn't make him rush and see ghosts and all those kinds of things. That's what you have to do. Like if that means only sending out 2 receivers instead of 3 and keeping one more tight end on the field or one more guy in, like then do it. I think he has to make some adjustments there to make his quarterback more comfortable, or else the ball's not going to come out to those
I think Sam
playmakers.
did a good job of actually standing in the pocket. I think, and this is what Bill Belichick did, they take away your first and second reads. And your third and fourth receiver or tight end have to really step up and make plays. Hoskinson was getting targeted a lot. He wasn't beating his guy. So
Okay.
Darnold was going to the right read, but you got to beat your defender, because they were doubling Addison on the outside and then doubling Jefferson. So your third and fourth have to have big plays. Naylor's he's got to step up, and I know he will because he's a Michigan State guy, but Hockenson also has to step up and make incredible plays in types of games like that, because that's how you beat that type of defense where they take your 2 first reads away. AFC Championship game, we're playing the Patriots. They're doubling Demaryius and Emmanuel. Owen Daniels scores 2 touchdowns in the AFC Championship game. He was the tight end. So when you think about things like that and the way you can beat teams who are doubling your best players or taking your first and second read away, your number 3 and number 4, Hotchkiss is supposed to, he has to have a big game. And he dropped some passes and wasn't getting open.
Benny grinding the tape, taking me to film school there. Love it. Let's go. See, this is why you see things and know things that or you've forgotten things that I don't even know yet. That's why we really value your opinion here. Some other stats about this game real quick. Vikings ranked tied for first in takeaways with 33, tied for 4th in sacks and 5th in scoring defense this season. The Rams won the NFC West for the first time since 2021, and they've made the playoffs now 6 times in 8 years under Sean McVay, who previously has led them to 1 Super Bowl win and a 2nd Super Bowl appearance. And again, like I said, watch for Jared Verse and Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk on that Rams pass rush. That'll be Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters on the call. So a few more topics we want to get to as we preview wildcard weekend in these NFL playoffs. And Benny Fowler, our former NFL wide receiver and Super Bowl champion, you noted earlier on that there's some receivers specifically, you have a list that guys that you're really excited about watching come these playoff times. So I want to know, which are those names that stand out to you and why are you excited about seeing each one in the playoffs?
Yeah, in no particular order, I'm excited. Number 1 about Nico Collins, incredible receiver for the Houston Texans. Big body guy, big play guy, runs through the catch, been an incredible weapon for CJ Stroud. So I'm super excited about him. I'm excited to see George Pickens, incredible dynamic talent. He's been struggling the last couple of games, but I know he can make big time plays in big time games. So I'm excited to see him, and I know he'll have opportunities against the Ravens defense to go out there and make plays. Number 3 would be Jayden Reed, Michigan State Spartan Dog. I think he's going to make some incredible plays this weekend. He's a jack of all trades. See him in punt return. You'll see him get jet sweeps, and then you'll see him work the middle of the field. Jalen Naylor, another Spartan Dog. I'm excited to see him as he steps up into a playoff atmosphere and becomes that 3rd receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. Cortland Sutton from the Broncos, incredible player down the field, makes big-time catches, big-time plays, but just a big body. And then, he's Bo Nix's outlet. A.J. Brown, definitely playmaker, wants the ball, yards after catch, like a Terrell Owens type of player, always demanding the ball, can't be guarded one-on-one. So I'm excited to see him play. Terry McLaurin, I think, is the best route runner this weekend in the wild card matchup. Wow. Jayden Daniels, one of his favorite targets, but a double move guy, a guy that can work in the slot and also on the outside. And then the Hall of Famer Mike Evans. I'm excited to just watch him continue to thrive, going on 11 years of 1,000 yards, as consistent as they come, blocks in the run game, makes plays down the field, makes plays in the middle of the field. So I'm excited to see those receivers this weekend for Wild Card Weekend. Just incredible playmakers, incredibly reliable targets and things. And I think we're going to see exciting things from these guys this weekend.
No, that's a great list. And one thing that stood out to me, also on the offensive side of the ball, but at the quarterback position, Benny, as I was preparing for this postseason and looking at the teams that qualified, you have 14 total teams in the playoffs, including the Chiefs and Lions, who each have a bye this weekend. Of those 14 teams, 12 of them have starting quarterbacks who were drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. 9 of them were drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft. 6 of them were drafted in the top 5, and 3 were number 1 overall picks. Also interesting to me that 4 quarterbacks from that 2018 draft are all now leading their teams into the playoffs this year. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So Josh Rosen is the 5th, the only one who didn't make it to the postseason in 2024. But Benny, what does it tell you that 12 of the 14 playoff teams this season drafted their quarterback in the first round, or that quarterback was drafted in the first round? Does that tell you that if you don't have premier talent there, you can't win? Or are there other ways to skin the cat, or is that just staring you in the face, those statistics?
I think at this point where the game is, you have to have that first round talent at quarterback. You have to have a dynamic playmaker. You have to have a playmaker that, I'm pretty sure all of those quarterbacks that have been drafted in the first round are playmakers that can extend the play. And they're not, none of them are pocket quarterbacks where they can't run or extend the play, or there isn't some dynamic element to their running game with the quarterback being involved at some point in time throughout the game. So I think that's what it says. I think the quarterback position is being played at an extremely high level. I heard Troy Aikman talk about on Monday Night Football that, Joe Burrow is his favorite quarterback to watch because he reminds him of the old school quarterback. But in terms of the talent of the Troy Aikmans or the Peyton Mannings or the Tom Brady's, Aaron Rodgers, or whatever it may be, this talent of quarterback now, it's not even close to those guys. Arm talent is extremely high, and then the ability to run and extend the play is not even close in terms of the old school quarterback into what it is now. So it's just a different game. It's super fun to watch. Obviously, there's no disrespect to any of the old school quarterbacks because those are quarterbacks that I like to play with. But these quarterbacks now, Bo Nix, being a young guy, extending the play, Jayden Daniels extending the play, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all these guys can extend the play, and they can get you another set of downs with their legs, which is incredible to see. And it's fun to watch.
No, to your point, of those 12, 10 of them are guys who you could call some sort of dual threat extending the play guys. The only 2 who are not really are Goff, and I would say Matthew Stafford, though, he does have that element of being able to extend the play. But he is more of the pocket element than some of the younger guys. But yeah, 10 to 11 of those 12 are guys who extend the play. And then the only 2 who aren't first rounders, Benny, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles, 2nd round pick, and Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3rd round pick. All right. That brings me to our final segment. Jumping you on this, though, I'm sure you're ready for it. If you're not prepared, you don't have to make a pick, but I do feel like, we both need to go on the record at the start of the postseason on who we think is going to win the Super Bowl here. I will go first. I said at the beginning of the year, I thought the Houston Texans would. I thought they took a tremendous step last year with CJ Stroud being last year's version of Jayden Daniels. They added some pieces. Clearly, they thought they could go for it. They had a guy like Stephon Diggs. They added Danielle Hunter. Don't think it's going to happen with them. I hate the fact that I'm about to say this, but I think we're looking at a chalk Super Bowl, Chiefs-Lions, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat. The reason why is because in that game, even though Dan Campbell has done an unbelievable job and the Lions are so good, it's hard for me to trust him against Andy Reid, given the volatility of some of Dan Campbell's decision-making in some of these games versus the way that Steve Spagnuolo and Reid can complement each other and come up with a game plan. I mean, give me Ben Johnson versus Steve Spagnuolo right now. I can't wait to watch it. But unfortunately, NFL fans, it's hard for me not to look at this and say, not just because the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and all this, Benny, but I always look now, having covered hockey, having covered football, having covered all these different sports. I think what I've learned the most at this time of year is the teams who are ascending and playing the best as they go into the playoffs are usually the teams who keep winning and get it done. And as the backstretch of the season occurred there, I was just biting my nails as an NFL fan who wants to see somebody else raise a Lombardi trophy, as the Chiefs just seem to look better every week. So give me Kansas City on a three-peat. I hate that I'm saying it, but who do you like?
Yeah, give me Kansas City on the three-peat as well. I said that at the beginning of the year. I just believe in their system and who they are and what they do and how they attack things. And I believe in their coaching, their players. Give me Kansas City, a rematch of Kansas City and Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is able to go on the road to play Detroit in the NFC Championship, but keep the Lions offense off the field because they have such a dynamic running game. Wow. And if that offensive line is humming like they have been all year against the Detroit Lions defensive line, I see them managing the clock. Eagles taking time of possession in that game of like an 8-minute possession drive. I could see them doing that a couple times and limiting the Lions offense to only 35 to 40 plays in that game.
Wow. So you have Chiefs, Eagles with Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl. I have Chiefs, Lions. We both have Kansas City getting it done. Benny, this is going to be tremendous. I think the only other team that I'm giving a chance to, because I agree, the Eagles, if it's not the Lions, I do think it's the Eagles. The Buffalo Bills are a team that, obviously you picked them to get upset by the Broncos, and that could very well happen. I totally agree with your reasons why. When I was looking at how the Lions are 15-2 and the Chiefs are 15-2, and one of their only losses on both sides are Lions in week 15 losing to the Bills 48-42 in Detroit, and the Chiefs losing to the Buffalo Bills 30-21 in week 11. None of us, nobody is going to say Buffalo is going to get it done until they do. That's just what Buffalo is. That's what the Bills are. That's what Sean McDermott and Josh Allen have to get over. But I do feel like we could all be looking at this and saying we should have known the whole time. I don't know. Do you think I'm crazy? I mean, you did pick the Broncos to beat them, so obviously you do.
I like Josh Allen a lot, but if I had to pick another team besides Kansas City, I would go Ravens, Rams. Those would be my dark horses to get to the Super Bowl. I think Rams can go on a run, an Eli Manning type of run, wild card type of run,
Ooh.
Just barely squeak into the playoffs, and then go on a run because you have a gunslinger at quarterback, and then Lamar, who I believe is the MVP of this year. I could see them getting it done this year just based off of the swag and the momentum that they're playing with.
What's cool about you saying that right off the cuff is that I was looking at some of the NFL stats on just all-time playoffs, and in a single postseason, Benny, Eli Manning of the Giants in 2011 has the single postseason NFL passing yards record. He had 1,219 passing yards in 2011 with 9 touchdown passes and only 1 interception. And interestingly enough, second all-time is Matthew Stafford of the Rams, 2021 with 1,188. He knows ball. He won a Super Bowl. He just helped me pick these postseason games and his own champion in 2024. He is the one and only Benny Fowler. Beans, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. Looking forward to our next one.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Pat.
Well, that was a blast. What a great episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard with Benny Fowler, Super Bowl champion, former NFL wide receiver. I hope that broke down all the wild card matchups for you here in these NFL playoffs, as well as some interesting information on receivers to watch, top quarterbacks leading these teams, a lot of first rounders, as you saw, leading these 14 teams, 12 of 14 selected in the first round. Startling stat, something that Giants fans obviously will be filing away as the April NFL draft arrives here in 2025, and Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll try to remake their 3-14 team. And then, of course, the Super Bowl picks. It pained me to pick the Chiefs, but they look red hot, and they're looking for that three-peat with Patrick Mahomes leading the way and Steve Spagnuolo on that Andy Reid defense. But this has been a fantastic episode. Look forward to another Talking Ball live. If you're listening to this on the day we recorded it, Wednesday, January 8th, tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, I will be going live, Talking Ball live with Pat Leonard, answering all of your questions, talking a lot of Giants, but also NFL postseason, coaching carousel. We answer all your questions about who I think will land which jobs, which candidates I feel are good fits in certain spots, who I think should remain a coordinator, and where I think this game of musical chairs will land as the NFL coaching carousel spins. We are brought to you here by mybookie.ag, mybookie rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors this season. About 55% hit rate for me, 54.7 to be exact, I believe, on my picks here in 2024. That's making you plenty of coin, plenty of money. So you want to go sign up now for the postseason run. Use my promo code PATSPICKS, PATSPICKS, and get a 50% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. There is a link for you to place that first deposit on all of my social media profiles. On X, you can find me at PLeonardNYDN, and everywhere else, my handle is PL on NFL. That's YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Also brought to you here by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. Where is it? Right over my shoulder. It is a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today. Place that first order using the code TalkingBall25, or access it through the QR code on your screen. There it is. And you'll get a 50% match. Or sorry about that. You'll get a 5% off discount on your first order on the subscribe and save option. Mixing up my deals there. So many deals for you here on Talking Ball. But yeah, go to the subscribe and save option, make your first order, and use that 25% off discount code TalkingBall25, or use that QR code. It'll put it in for you. Right now, that means a month's supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today. Boomchaga.com. And brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee concentrate. Perfect for when you want to make a quick cup of coffee and skip the lines. It takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate 98 iced coffee or hot coffee. It's great as a mixer for espresso martinis, and each bottle can make up to 16 cups. Go to estate98.com/talkingball to get an exclusive offer for 80% off your first order. See you next time on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. Hopefully see you on Talking Ball live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, January 8th. See you then.